everyone, and welcome to The Helpful Hustle. I'm Bex, and today I'm bringing you another bit of top expert advice. This time, super important, it's all for your accounts. So I'm being joined by the brilliant Fareed from Q Accountants, who specialise in looking after small businesses and helping them with all manners of their finance. And today, we're going to be talking about how you guys can save money off your all-important tax bill. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Bex. Thanks for inviting me.
So it's a big burning question for a lot of people. Obviously, when they're setting up their businesses, they're thinking, right, what can I expense? What can I put through to ensure that I'm not paying too much tax? And I'm sure there's lots of things that people don't think about. So for you as the expert accountant, it would be great to know your thoughts on what you think are the key things that we need to know as small businesses.
Sure. First of all, it depends on whether the business is sole trader or they have a limited company, and it can be quite different. So, for example, one of the big differences is use of home expenses. When you start your business, you'll probably work from home at some point before you have money and budget for the office. And if you're working from home, many people come with a question: can I claim home expenses? What about the rent that I paid? The answer is depends, and the biggest bit, it depends on whether you're a sole trader or not. If you are a sole trader, then yes, you can. And what you're doing is you have to calculate the amount of space you're using and the amount of time you work from home, and then you can claim proportion of your rent if you're renting, or proportion of mortgage interest that you're paying, and then other utility bills such as water, electricity, even council tax. So that's one thing which is surprisingly not many sole traders know they can use that. If you are a limited company, unfortunately, you that's very limited. You can claim only £4 a week for the use of home, which comes at £208 a year. And then the major thing is to understand what you can claim, what you're using for business. The main things will be stationery. Do you use laptop? I guess yes. Then you can put that for the business. Do you use phone? Again, another one that can be missed. Training is the big one. We're seeing that many people are missing training costs if they're learning something, some skills. The rules here are a bit complicated, but in most cases, they can. So yeah, I mean, the list really is quite long, and it all depends on the business nature, what they can, and also probably it's worth checking what they cannot use as business expense. One thing that many businesses think that they can use is for, let's say, suit. And again, it's a small thing probably, but what HMRC explicitly said that you cannot claim for things like suit because you will use it in your personal life. I mean, you will use suit when you go to dinner. And what you can use in terms of uniforms, it has to be uniform, or it should have some health and safety benefits of using that uniform.
Okay, and that's really interesting because I think it does totally depend on your business. I know that I think previously and in my other life as a broadcaster, I've managed to put clothes through because that is my uniform on TV or going through. So it's been an interesting one to kind of debate what is uniform and what isn't. But for most people, that won't be a worry for them. And I think when you're thinking of things like your utility bills, your water, electrics, is that something that maybe you as the accountant will just automatically put in, or do we need to kind of come up with all of those numbers ourselves?
Yeah, when it comes to home expenses, that's a separate exercise, and again, we don't know your personal expenditures, so we'll ask the clients to help you with that. When it comes to other business expenses, when it's not a brainer, when it's a stationary, whether it's you're paying your accountant or for legal expenses or for marketing, so you can use my best piece of advice here would be keep track of expenses, because uh, especially if you're a sole trader, and especially if you're using one bank account to use for business and for your business expenses, you can just lose track of what you've spent for your business. And the best thing would be to get the app. For sole traders, there is one one. It's called OneTap. If you're running limited company, we recommend our clients Receipt Bank. It's quite, and their OneTap is product of Receipt Bank, and it's very, very easy. You have an app in your phone. If you spend something for business, you're taking the photo and all done. You can forget about it.
Yeah, I found that really, really useful because I used to have a shoebox full of all my receipts, and then it would take me hours, and that whole tax return palaver would be so much of a bigger deal. But now, just by using an app, and there's loads of great apps out there, but I'm with you, One Tap Receipts is brilliant and super cheap. You can put that against your taxes as well, can't you? So it's expendable.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's really useful. I just want to come back to something like you mentioned computers, so laptops and mobile phones. Is it a proportion of that amount is written off against your expenses, or is it, do you suddenly go, I'm getting a phone?
Good question. HMRC understand that you may use your laptop for personal things. You can check the personal email, etc. As long as you've got more than half of the use for business, and you're fine, you can claim for whole expense. When it comes to phone, that's tricky. They will look into whether you have a business contract or not. I mean, the equipment itself, you can put, if you're buying like phone as an equipment, that's fine, total expense is fine. But when it comes to the contract, they will check whether you have a business contract or not. And if you have a business contract, ironically, that will be more expensive to have a business contract in place. So yes, it will be tax deductible, but you need to check whether it's worth going for business contract or not. If you don't have a business contract, you can still use proportion, as you said, of your phone calls. That could be a bit of nightmare, going through your bill and checking which calls you've done for business calls. But yeah, in theory, you can do that.
Yeah.
For the phone, it will be a proportion of the calls. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And I suppose the next question that I've got is, and I've fallen into this trap, but what are the kind of common misconceptions that you've heard from clients about, oh, I can put this through from my tax, maybe it's entertaining or something like that? We've already heard about uniforms, but I'm sure there's other things people try and put in as other areas that are taxable.
Yeah, and you mentioned entertainment, that's a big one. So if you are an entertaining client, if that's for business entertainment, if you're going and having a dinner with the client, that's something you can put through your business. However, when it comes to tax return, you have to deduct that. So it's not included as part of, it's not as other business expenses. Then you can say, well, then there is no point putting that through my business anyway. There is still point, and we need to go quite technical. Why it's still beneficial? Because instead of, let's say, getting money as dividends, you are putting through that as business entertainment. Again, I don't want to go to details this call, but yeah, there's a point, but it's not as good as other business expenses. Another one will be meals. Many people think, oh, if I'm going to office and if I'm having meal in the office, then I can claim for that as business expense. The simple answer is no, you can't do that. And again, the travel, if I go to work to the office every day, the same office, then I can't claim that. If you have some project, let's say you're going somewhere for 3 months or so, and that's not your office, that's the client's office, then yes, you can claim for it. So there are specific scenarios where you can claim for meal, you can claim for travel, but generally speaking, the answer is no.
Okay, that's really interesting. So there's a few things that I need to think about when it comes to my tax return, having heard that. And I suppose just for a business from the starting point, if they are here to make your life easier, which will in turn make their life easier as well, what is it that you want to see as an accountant from us when we're giving you a tax return? What will make things super easy?
Yeah, it's the keeping records of expenses again. That's and again depends on whether you're a sole trader or not. If you are a sole trader, probably the one thing we as an accountant need to do for you will be your self-assessment tax return. Then usually what we see is we we have this interaction with the client once a year, the main interaction. And that's when we get your bank statements, and that's when we have an access to your, let's say, one tap account, and we can see all the receipts. um, it's getting into the habit of taking photo of every receipt that you have. And it's a quite a thing in itself. And unfortunately, it is a learning curve. We don't see it in the first year, we don't see it in the second year, but then it's, once you have that habit, then it's much easier. So that will make things much easier. And if you have a limited company, then the nature of our relationship with the clients is completely different. We do the bookkeeping every month. And then if they're missing something, we'll just let them know, oh, we have these transactions and you don't have receipts. So yeah, that's a big one. And the second is always education. I know you have an accountant, that's fine. We're there to support you. We're there to help you with every question you have. But then sometimes when we struggle is when business owners don't, for example, they don't understand what is HMRC and what is Companies House. And again, we are educating them through the webinars, through the articles, and if they use those resources to learn, and then that makes communication much easier, and they understand things much easier.
Fantastic. And Farid, is there any other bits of information that you think are key to letting the audience know today as to what they can do to save money on their tax bill that we haven't already covered?
Yeah, I mean, there are many really, and I would say pension is one, and the pension is massively underestimated. You have this 40,000 allowance that you can use to put through your pension. If you have a limited company, for example, and you put that £40,000 a year, that means you can use that as a business expense, and that reduces your net income, and that means you're reducing your corporation tax. And it applies the same for sole traders. So the pension is the big one to look into. And other things is, as an investor, some of us may invest in other businesses. You can invest in startups, and there are startups where you can get 50% tax back from your investment. So watch out for that. So yeah, it's and again, home expenses. If you're sole trader, have a thing what about all your utilities, the mortgage statement. It's very important. If you have a mortgage, ask for a mortgage statement, because you can calculate the interest from your mortgage that you can again utilize as part of your home expense. Not every payment you're making for mortgage, you can count on that. There is a part that will be capital repayment, unfortunately, that can't be used, but the interest bit can be.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that about the mortgages. I'm going to go and email my bank straight away. Farid, thank you so much for that. That's really interesting, and loads of great bits of knowledge there to help lots of small businesses for learning how to do their taxes a lot better. Now, if people want to get in touch with you with regards to their own account, where can we find you? We know we can find you on Instagram, but how else can we find you as well?
Yeah, it's our website. We've got plenty of information there. It's qaccountants.com. It's pretty easy. As you said, Instagram. We love Instagram. It's not traditional for accountants to be in Instagram. We find it very easy to share information. If we have any new legislation, we'll just share in the stories. And we have a Q to Farid session where we are getting video questions from clients and non-clients, and then we're replying via Instagram. So yeah, check it out.
Will do. Thank you very much. That's Farid from Q Accountants there. And he's going to be obviously available for you guys to contact via Instagram, via the website, or drop him an email as well. And he's there for all your small businesses. So make sure you check it out. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found that really useful, and we'll see you again soon.